What's good, savages? Welcome to Between Two Savages, a show where two men sit down and talk about all different aspects of life from their perspective, all while trying to understand where the perspective of others come from. Jesus, I mumbled those words. All while trying to understand where the others' perspectives come from. That's what I meant to say. I'm Savage Paulson, and with me, as always, is Gabriel and Stephan. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How you been, brother?
Good, man.
Listen, man, before we even get into it, I need to, you see the smile on my face, man. We need to speak about something I saw just a few moments ago on social media, man. You in a wrestling promo with Shane Pinto, man?
So I'll tell you a little bit of everything, right? It's like, without trying to, I don't want to expose anything.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from a real place. Like, this actually comes from a realistic, like, non-pro wrestling place.
Mm-hmm.
And legit, I think I was at a part of my quote unquote career where I was like, I need to, like, if I am coming back, I need to shake this up. I need to come back with a purpose, not just to like, let me just get back at this and just do this to see where it takes me. Like, I wanted to try to jump all in while limiting the amount of time I was sacrificing to this.
Yeah,
this was the important part for me, okay? The important part for me was being able to get back at this without sacrificing my family time coaching, baseball with my son. Like, all those things are above everything else.
Mm-hmm.
My workouts, my fitness, I was trying to fit it in so that it wouldn't disrupt, or that it would minimize like the disruption in my life. I didn't want to take away from a lot of the important things. So I reached out to a place where I thought I could make a comeback, and they welcomed me back. And then the idea sparked what happened. And then we kind of, it's funny because it's like, who reached out to who? Like, I won't mention who did, but it was just like, it was so like, oh my God, like, sometimes you think of something and then, you know, the other person calls you and you're like, boo, I was just, well, like, I've been thinking about this, you know? And again, I'm grateful that I get to be at a promotion that allows me to express that. That's one thing also. And then we kind of like said, like, are we doing this or not? And we were like, yeah, fuck it, let's just do it. But there's a purpose behind it. And the purpose will be told through the lens of professional wrestling. There's a story, like the storyline that we'll be telling it's not a story. It's based off reality and what we both need and what we both want out of this experience. It's kind of an exchange. Like, I'm reaching out to a guy that tried many times, you know, to end my career. That, like, yesterday I heard like people like screaming, like, why? Like, they'd come up to me, like a guy came up, got out, like as I was walking out, you know, with Pinto behind me, he walked directly at me. I was like, dude, is this guy, like, why is this guy like coming at me? And he looked at me, he pointed, and he's like, why? And I was just like, exactly. This is why right here. This right here is why. And I just walked out. I didn't even say a thing. I just walked out. Pinto walked out behind me. It's like the heel turn was necessary. Like, it is necessary for me to fulfill my purpose. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I'm hyped as fuck. That's also what I'm gonna say about it.
But it's beautiful, man. And you know what? It's crazy because I remember, like, you know, I've been out of it for a while, and you know how it is, right? You always think about coming back because, you know, it's a passion. It's something that we love. Right. I remember seeing Shane when I saw him for the first time, and I saw him like cut a promo. I reached out to him. I'm like, listen, I was thinking about a comeback. It didn't work out, but I'm like, if I'm coming back, it's with you. You are my manager. Not to say that I need a mouthpiece,
right?
Because I know how to, I talk, but I want to work with you because I saw something in that kid. And I'm like, there's something that we can do together. And seeing you, and when I saw that promo, man, I'm telling you, right now, like before we even got into this call, I was like this, man. I'm like, yeah, because what you mentioned is very important. You don't wanna sacrifice your time with your family, with your kids. You have work, practice, baseball, all that stuff, and you wanna find a place that will allow you to do that. And my biggest issue with coming back to wrestling was always that the commitment. I referee basketball, which makes I'm busy almost every weekend. I like to travel. I'm always working, so. I need to, for me, it was always the issue of I cannot commit to all these places. And if I commit to a place, it has to be a place that will allow me to still do these things and we can work together to find a common schedule. But
Right.
man, listen, I'm looking forward to it. And if I get back into wrestling, I'm not saying it's because of that promo, but all I'm saying is I want to be a part of it. We'll just leave it at that. And I've been called out. People called me out to wrestle with them this year. We're just putting it out there, right? That's it.
I'll say one last thing about this that I think is important for myself as well.
Yeah.
It's not only being able to come back to wrestling, and because a part of me, a part of the person that I am, wants to go all in on this, work every weekend, because the guy that always strives for the peak knows that if I would ever want to get to the peak of where I could get in professional wrestling, I would need to commit to this and sacrifice everything else. That I understand that, but I was always having a hard time adjusting my expectations. I would try to sacrifice a lot of the time away, but my expectation would always stay the same. So when I took all this time off, and might sound crazy, but a lot of the time was spent trying to find a purpose for professional wrestling in my life. So that I didn't have to have an end goal in it where the competitive nature in me that wants to be the best at everything he does, I could separate that away from me. So then I realized slowly when I came back the last time that I could place professional wrestling in my life there as a tool to get me out of my comfort zone. Because I realize how anxious professional wrestling, like being a performer, makes me. I put so much pressure on myself because I want to be my best that days before I have a match are just filled with anxiety about the match, about the performance, about performing at my best in front of my son that sits there at every match, and also the people that paid money to come and see the show, like all of that. And by placing that in that square of my life and that in that placement where like I spend so much of my time being this disciplined, stoic man, trying to raise a daughter, like trying to be a great husband, doing all those great things, sacrificing a lot. I spent a lot of time in that space, in that mindset, that professional wrestling allows me to disconnect from that mindset and be a little bit more free in my expression of who I am.
Yep.
So I had a hard time without pro wrestling in my life. No matter how anxious it made me, no matter how uncomfortable it made me, there was a need for that expression, that side of me to express itself that I couldn't get in my being a father, being a husband, being a coach.
Yeah.
I need to be the leader. I need to be the provider. I need to be the supporter. But there's a part of me that also wants to go hang with the boys and wreak havoc, and get in that ring and hurt people. Yeah. And that might sound counter to who the other person is. The other person is holding a Bible while the guy that's in the ring is holding a chair, right? It's like, and he's ready to do damage. And I know it sounds like fucked up, but this person that's on the left with the Bible doesn't exist if I can't be that guy for a short moment in my life.
Exactly. We need each other, right? It's an ecosystem.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
So exciting things to come, but again, I'm trying to manage the expectations so that I don't become even more anxious about the speed, I guess, of the progression. Work one show at a time, one promo at a time,
Yeah.
and then express yourself from there.
Exactly. Trust the process, liberate yourself from
Right,
the expectations, but embrace the process regardless of the outcome, and just find your, like you said, find
right.
your why or your process within it,
It's funny you say that, trust the process, because trust the process is something, and this because you watch basketball, you're into you referee and all that, right? Is you hear that a lot, what you just said in sports, right? It's like, and it's new. It's kind of like you gotta kind of like trust the process. And I remember, I think it might have been Kobe, or I forget who I heard it from, but it was kind of like, maybe other athletes have said it before, I'm not saying that, but I remember it being more and more prevalent in like trusting the process. And I remember going like, I don't understand what they mean by trust the process. It's discounting what they were saying. I didn't understand. And then the more and more I watch athletes now, because of coaching and because I want to learn. I don't only want to learn how athletes function. I want to learn how they think, how they are, what makes them tick, what motivates them, what inspires them. I think that's important for a coach to understand. So I'm paying attention, and I realize that everything, obviously everything in life is a process.
Yeah.
But it's I think people have the understanding of what that the process exists, and that's how it is, the progression. But I don't think people visually see it as whatever they want to visualize as a progress. Like, I visualize it as a bar with progress, one line, and how far a line you got to push that thing this direction. There's progress, but everything has blocks, and you have to trust that what you're going through now is necessary for you to get over here.
Exactly.
Like and that's also a part of me why in recent months I've kind of like been trying to connect with God more, is because all these things just equate to having faith that what you're doing today is going to bear fruit. But without holding it, how do I commit and jump? And like we were talking about, remember, like, how do you jump and have faith that you're going to get to the other side without being on the other side? The gap of faith is like, that's trusting the process. It's understanding that the process is necessary to get wherever you want to get. And you can't jump, you can't cut corners, you can't take shortcuts there. That does not exist.
No, not at all. And it's beautiful because, because sometimes you hear people say, oh, but I've been trusting the process. But there's one thing is, because like you said, trusting the process is having faith. And you can have faith, but are you putting in the work while trusting the process?
That's right.
And that's a different thing. And I follow this guy on Instagram. I love him, Inky Johnson.
Yeah,
right?
Inky.
And the first video I heard of him, he said something that changed my whole perspective. He said, it's not about the outcome, but it's about what the process and the journey can create, right?
Right.
Because it's throughout that process and that journey that you become the person that you need to become in order to get where you want to get. And you know what? Maybe you won't get to where you thought you were gonna get, but life will just steer you in a different direction that might be in the same field, or just like, nah, let me take you this route.
Right.
Because the process is what's gonna create the result. What you just said is beautiful. It's beautiful. And faith, the way I try to explain faith when I need to explain it to people is kind of like when you have a garden, right? When you're planting trees or fruits or vegetables, right? Or you're planting a seed, and you need to have faith and trust the process for it to grow. But you're planting something without even knowing, because it might not, because when you look at the stats, a lot of 50 or 60% of the crops you can't even use.
Right.
Right? But you still plant the seed with the faith that it will lead to a crop that you can consume later on.
Right.
And this is the same thing. It's like that faith is planting that seed that you water every day, that you take care of it, you nurture it every single day.
Like the act of planting the seed
Yes.
by itself is not enough.
No.
Is that right? You have to
It's not
work
enough.
every single day to give that seed everything
Exactly.
it needs.
Yes.
All the support. And even with all that work, sometimes the fucking seed is just not gonna sprout right. And you're gonna be like, but so that brings you to life lessons. Like, what did I
Yes.
do wrong? Was it the process? Was it what I did, or maybe was it just a bad seed, or whatever it is? So if the seed is an idea, and you're trying to feed that idea, you got to also be able to figure out, is this a good idea or a bad idea, right? Which that can go into a completely different direction.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most important things you said early on in your point was that people, it's not enough to just have faith. It's like you have to do your part, right? And that's in life. That's why also, look, I don't want to sit here and go like, oh, I'm just like all of a sudden religious zealous. I'm not. I don't, I'm just, again, trying to find connections between my faith in God and just how life is. And I think that's a perfect example of, it says in, I guess the Bible, I guess it says that you have to have faith, you have to do your part, and whatever you can't do, God will do for you. But you have to do your part first, and you have to believe, truly believe that if you do your part, the faith, belief will equate to God doing his part. That's the same thing in life. It's like, okay, I have a goal. I'm going to believe in myself. I'm going to have faith that I'm going to get there. But if I don't do the work every single day to get there, then you'll never get there.
No.
There'll never be a progression in that direction. Or it'll just be so slow that you'll never get there. You understand? Like, there has to be an extreme connection between both. Between believing, having faith in the process, and doing the process, actually physically doing the work.
Yeah, and
Right.
you know what? Also, I believe also doing the work. And for me, I really put the emphasis on, like, regardless of the outcome, because the work in itself, right? Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm doing this for this outcome, but you don't know what life is gonna give you, right?
Exactly.
That's just how it is. But it's the faith and putting in the work combined together that will give you the life that you want. Right? And that's the most important thing. It's faith and work together. It's putting in the day in and day out, grinding when nobody's watching, when the lights are out. And I think that's the part that a lot of people forget.
I think the important thing, like you mentioned, is let's say before, when I used to set goals a while back, I used to always focus on the pinnacle of the goal, on the top of the mountain. I would never pay attention to the journey. It was always, every day was like, what's the end vision in my head? And then I would work with that in mind. And then I completely shifted everything because it wasn't working. And then I heard someone say that it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey, right? I think it's what you said earlier. It's like, it's okay to have a destination in mind, but the next step after putting the destination, about deciding where you want to be, it's not also about what you want in life. I feel like a lot of people, they put like these goals, like, I want this house, I want to make this much money. That's fine.
Yeah.
Put your vision. But what are the steps for you to get there? You also have to not just write down what the destination is. You have to write, what do I need to do to get there? There's a list of things. And every time you check off one of the boxes that you need to do, the work you put in to check off that box is where the importance, that's where it lies. That's where the work is necessary in between every check mark you do. Because you know, if you check off all the boxes, you're going to get to your destination. The problem is people think there's 5 boxes.
Yep.
There might be 1,000 boxes.
Yep.
There might be small things you need to fix about yourself. That's also another thing I think people have a hard time, is that they're good at doing all the external shit. Yeah, so what's next? Did you work on yourself as well? Because I think you might need to fix some shit about yourself before you're able to get to your destination. It's because a lot of times people do all the external stuff. I got the money, I got all this, I don't understand how I can't get to my goal. Maybe your mindset is fucked. Maybe it's something how your perspective is skewed because of God knows why. Why maybe you need to fix something inside. And I got a point in my life where that's what I figured. I was like, I'll never get to the destination, to the vision I have in my head, if I don't fix the broken parts in myself first and try to dig into why I am, and then get to a point where I'm able to accept myself, how I am 100%. And then it's only then that you're able to move forward from being super humble and being how much of an asshole I am, how I have all these faults. I need to come face to face with those. And then I'm able to say, this is who I am, this under my understanding, and then move forward from that and go forward from that. Doesn't matter how much work on the external shit you do and how much money you accumulate, how much success, if that shit is not taken care of, it's a lot. I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it's just a lot fucking hard.
It is. And you know, you slightly mentioned it, and I think it's a good thing that you spoke about it, but also to, you know, the process and the journey, or even having faith, is an ugly battle, you know.
Absolutely.
It's not sunshine and rainbows, and it's not, let's say for example, you mentioned that you're trying to find your way back to God and like just trying to reinforce that. But it's a tough road, right? And I think that's when people say trust the process, I think maybe what we should start saying also is the growth that is within the process. That's what we need to trust.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
If you allow me just to share a quick story.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the main things that really brought me to believing that more firmly and my personal growth. I went to Thailand for a month and a half, and I was going on this trip. I had my personal reasons, and you know. And what happened, as soon as I got to the airport, not a lot of people know this story, but as soon as I got to the airport, they robbed my suitcase.
And here in Montreal?
No, in Thailand. So I arrived in Thailand. I arrived in Bangkok. It was 6:30 a.m.
Their time?
Yeah, their time. And the way the airport in Bangkok is made, there's the train on the basement. So as soon as you go to the airport, you go all the way down to the last floor, and there's the train that takes you straight to the city. And I was about to exchange some money, and I saw this guy looking at me. I'm like, this guy's fishy. Something's up with this. And then from exchanging money, I went to get a SIM card. And it took a second. I bought the SIM card. I took two steps. I'm like, my suitcase. Turn around. It was gone. And just like in the YouTube videos or in the movies, when you see them just like grab, walk, another guy grabs it, walks, it was gone. Started panicking, called my family. So it was Wednesday morning, 6:30 a.m. in Bangkok. So it was Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. in Montreal, because there's a 12-hour difference. So they have 12 hours in advance. Call my family, like, you arrived? I'm like, yeah, I just got robbed. And, you know, panicking, everybody's obviously. And I remember I was sitting on the floor of the airport in front of the gate to the train station. And I was just contemplating on what to do. And my dad told me, come back. I'll send you money. Just buy a plane ticket. Come back right now. You're at the airport. Just come back to Montreal. And then I spoke to my grandmother. And I said, if this would have happened to you 50 years ago when you arrived to Montreal, like she came from Guatemala to Montreal, what would you have done in my position? Would you have went back? Because she was telling me also to come back home to Montreal. And she said, no, I would have stayed in Montreal and find a way. And I said, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm gonna stay in Bangkok and I'm gonna find a way. Cause I said, what makes us any different, right? And I'm like, this is my journey, and this is what it is. And my outcome, or like my objective was, I'm gonna go to Thailand and do this and that and enjoy. But then what happened? As soon as I landed, life slapped me in the face and said, yeah, no.
It told you that's not why you're coming to Bangkok.
Yeah, no, this is where we're trying to redirect you. I was very fortunate at that exact moment because I have a cousin from Spain who's married to a Thai woman. They've been together for a long time, and we were supposed to meet because they were in Bangkok for 24 hours.
Oh my God!
So we were supposed to meet. I called them, told them what happened. They came and picked me up, and I went shopping for bare minimum essentials. But then for the rest of the trip, I only had a backpack. So I learned to that resolve, and I'm blessed that my family from Spain managed to help me out. I'm super blessed. But that was the lesson for me. I was like, Gabriel, this is what it is. You have to learn to rely on yourself. You have to find out what you're capable of, and life goes on. You're not the first one that got robbed at an airport, and you're not the last one. So what do we do from now? This is the journey. This is the process.
God damn, that's beautiful.
Right?
It gave me fucking goosebumps, that story, brother.
And guess what? Now, you know what's the lesson I learned from that? I travel now with the bare minimum. Not because I want to get robbed, but because that experience taught me
how to do it.
And what I really need.
Right.
And now I'm not afraid to go anywhere because I've lived through that, and I know I can count on myself, and I know I have the resolve and determination to do so. So
dude, the thing that gives me chills is two things about your story. There's a part in your story where I am so goddamn proud of you.
Thank you.
Because you made a decision that I think over 90% of people, I think you made a decision that 90% of people wouldn't have made. I think 90% of people would have come back. I think the difficulty in that decision, and here's the importance of what I mean by this. It was so difficult that you couldn't make that decision by yourself.
No, I couldn't.
You had to ask. As a man, that's a difficult thing to do. If a man asks you what he need, if I have to ask what I need to do, I'm in a bad place. I'm in a bad fucking place.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean I'm right in being in that place. I should have probably asked for help way before, but again, I don't know if it's the ego, the whatever I'm trying to be, who I am. But when I ask for help, that means I have to make a decision that I can't make by my own. And that's the important thing you mentioned in your story. You asked your father, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Dad, I called my brothers, my dad, my mom,
right,
my
and then your grandmother.
Yeah.
Right. Because I have a similar story. I'm not gonna share it now, but I have a similar story that I do exactly the same, where you got put in that position unwillingly. You didn't put yourself in that position. Something happened to you. Someone stole your suitcase, and then you were stuck to make a decision. Do I move forward from here, or do I go back?
Exactly.
You can't go back.
No.
You can't go. You'll get there if you will have to get there, but you can't get there. You can't go back there. You have to keep going that way. And I think the resolve, the faith, the belief that everything will be all right if I keep moving in that dark direction is the hardest thing. And I think that's important. I think that's where you grow the most, is in those most difficult decisions where you decide to keep fucking going. I've learned that I don't wait to be put in those situations. I try to place myself in those fucking situations now. Because I know that if I put myself in situations I don't want to be in, and I get to the other side by just plowing through, dude, the growth I get in that movement, in that momentum is just.
And I think the way you do it, the fact that it's intentional I think is the reason why it might speed up the growth. Because, like, for example, what happened to me wasn't intentional. It was,
That's right.
I'm just going and it happened. But you are intentionally and deliberately putting yourself in that position. And that's something very important that we don't do as humans, right? We like that comfort zone. But when you put yourself out there, it's crazy when you actually learn to trust yourself and to have faith in yourself and to believe in yourself. I think that as a human might be one of the hardest things to accomplish.
I think
right?
It's impossible.
It might be. It might be.
Because, man, I struggle with that every fucking minute of every day, man. For me, man, believing in my truth, in who I am, I second guess every fucking thing I go through in my life. It's unbelievable. And it's even more unbelievable everything I've been able to accomplish with this fucking voice that tells me I'm no good, like, in my head. Like, I think that by itself, for me, is the biggest success, that I've been able to drag this fucking voice with me through this life and get to where I am, to be blessed with this beautiful family, supportive, the friends I have, the people I know, the journey I've been on. God damn, man. I'm grateful for that every day of my life now. I wouldn't fucking change a thing. No matter how much at a time in my life I just wanted all the pain to end. I realize now that in order for me to achieve my purpose, I needed to go through that mud. It's that simple. Like, I don't hate on anything or anybody or anything that happened in my life anymore. I just go, dude, you were meant to be this person. I believe that now. This is your purpose. And in order for you to achieve that purpose, you had to go through that mud. You had no choice, because that's what you needed to make you that person that will eventually, achieve that thing.
But I like what you said, right? Because there comes a point in our time where, we have no control. Right. And we have to accept and let go of the fact that we have no control. And it's a beautiful thing to me that you were strong enough and that you persevered with all those struggles and all those problems, because unfortunately, I feel like that's life. Life is hard. Life is a struggle. Like, we don't always have it easy. But so I read, I don't remember where I saw this. I think it's from a show, but I know it's Morgan Freeman. I saw him say this. It said something within the lines of, when you ask for patience, do you think God gives you patience, or he puts you in a situation to practice patience? And if you ask for courage, like, so on and so forth. Right. And I feel as if that's the lessons also in life. What you've been through was not made to, like, it could have made you or break you, right?
Right.
And that's our choice. We make the decision to make or break. And you chose not to break. But then you still understood, life is giving me these hard life lessons and situations in order for me to be stronger, be more courageous, be more patient, and prepare me to be a father, to be a husband, and to be a better man for society. Right? So and I find it beautiful. Because it's work. It's work. You have, like you said, you have to go through the mud. And you mentioned something about putting yourself intentionally outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
I saw this thing that said that the bison is one of the only, if not the only animal that doesn't hide from the storm. So actually when the storm comes, they walk through the storm because they know that after the storm, once they pass through that storm,
Right.
it's peace and it's calm.
I also think that they know they're resilient enough to make it through the storm.
But
That's
how, yes,
right.
but
They
how do
know
you
that the
become?
storm is not going to kill them.
No, but how do you become resilient? You have to
You have to
practice
go
it.
through the storm.
Yes, you have to put yourself there. You're like, okay, right?
People in society nowadays avoid the storm at all costs, and then they do not realize how that breeds weakness in your mind and in your, not just in your physical weakness. I think people don't understand that the physical strength correlates to mental strength as
Yes.
well. Like, it's like, dude, we're all born with this meat vehicle that we are given at birth, and people still don't get that if you don't take care of this fucking meat vehicle, including your brain is included in this, your self of worth, everything that you feel, every emotion that you feel is all connected to this fucking meat vehicle that you don't take care of,
Yeah.
even though you know what you should do. That's also, there's so many layers to how I feel people get corrupted in life, simply because they don't understand the connection between being healthy and being, I don't want to say good, but you understand what I mean? Like, there's a connection there of, because I don't want to say good because I don't want to act like my way of life is the right way.
I
It's the right
understand. I
way for
understand.
me. And I have my beliefs. And the more I go along in this journey, the more I anchor those beliefs. Right. And that's also a separate topic that I have to address, because I think being able to to not only be able to speak your truth, but to believe your truth, to think this is what I believe in. And until I can hear someone convince me otherwise, this is what I believe. So I have to add this to my perspective. I see things this way because I believe this. What I feel differentiates me from a lot of people is I have this gut instinct that sometimes I trust more than, sometimes people ask me, why do you believe that? I'm like, I don't know why I believe that. But my gut feeling says that I need to believe that right now. It's weird to say that, because then people will want to argue you. And I'm like, I don't want to argue you. I don't want to have to explain to you why I believe this. Can't you trust as a friend that based on everything I know and exist, that my perspective is that I believe in that, and that I have my reasons, and that they are not coming from a place of wanting to hurt anyone or the world. They're coming from a good place. My intentions are not to harm with my beliefs, but they're simply my intentions are good. Again, that doesn't mean I am right, but to a certain point, I think we live in a society where there are so many different quote unquote truth now that people are afraid, and they kind of go like, fuck, I feel like I believe in the most factual thing possible, but then if I go on the internet, the internet tells me I'm wrong. So what the fuck? Like, I don't understand. Like, I used to believe this, and everybody used to believe this, but now we're telling me that if I believe that, I'm a bigot, and I'm a phobic, and I'm a this, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like, just today, like, people are losing their mind because TikTok is banned, like in the United States,
it's
right?
official, right? It's been official, right?
100% official. People can't use this. People are losing their mind. And I'm sorry, call me old-fashioned, but I find it absolutely fucking ludicrous that people are even giving a shit about the fact that an application on a phone where you can make videos. I understand that millions of people have made millions and millions of dollars using it as a business, as a platform. Again, call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that we're heading in a right direction if we're involved in that. Again, I might be opening a door here I'm not able to close. But do you know my point? Like, it's like, my point is this. 10 years ago, if you would have told me that in 10 years, people are going to lose their mind because they decided to ban an application in America, I'd be like, what are you fucking talking about? What application is going to be so important to so many people's lives that by banning them or removing it, people are going to lose their shit and that's all I'm going to hear in the news for 5 days? I'd be like, I don't want to live in that world. That's what I would have said. Like, fuck this. Let's move to the mountains and be done with this. And that's where I'm at the door, where I'm like, I'm at the place in my life where I'm like, I'm at the door, I'm right in between. I'm looking behind, I'm like, I could either close this door and just accept that this is where I live my best life. Because right now I'm looking through the door and I'm seeing the future and I'm going, holy fuck, man. I know it might be bleak and I might be cynical about this, but it's hard for me to see from my perspective and my belief that direction that we're heading in is a good direction.
Listen, I strongly agree with you, right? We share the same thoughts and opinions, but I think it's time for people also to wake up, right? To stop thinking that the state or the government or just society in general will lead you to the promised land, or give you.
Absolutely.
Because
I think a lot of people are waiting to be told how to get to where they want to be.
Yes, right. So let's say, for example, TikTok and how impactful it was or it is, and but who rooted TikTok into into the United States like culture, right? It wasn't a 5-year-old. It wasn't a 12-year-old. It was the government.
Absolutely.
Like it
was the Chinese government.
Right.
Right.
And from what I've read, TikTok on the Chinese platform is educational.
Absolutely.
That's what I've read.
They promote educational stuff for the kids.
But when you look at TikTok on the American side, they promote being stupid. They promote dance.
Right.
They promote promiscuous, lust.
They are creating a weak. I don't want to use the word weak, but they're promoting stuff that is making us fucking dumb.
Yes, well, that's what I think as well.
Right. All while they're educating their kids martial arts in school from a young age, education that's completely different. At the end of the day, China lives in a communist country. I'm pretty sure about that. I know we do business a lot with them, but I wouldn't trade my freedoms to go live there, no matter how good the educational system or whatever. I think they're doing certain things right. It doesn't matter. I think we should be able to learn and apply certain techniques here in our country, and it has to start with the education of our kids. Exactly. Now, I have a completely different view, and my view, some people will think that it's extreme. I'm not going to discuss it here, but if you can get into my brain and what I think we should be teaching our kids in school, you'd probably think I'm this guy's a fucking right extremist. Like, no, man, I think the education system, that's where it starts, and I think it's being used by the powerful people in a way that I don't think it's the right way. But that, again, that's my opinion. But keep going. Sorry.
Listen. And that's where I wanted to go. And I don't want to, like you said, if we start this conversation.
Yeah, this could we should have a different podcast about this.
But, where I was trying to go with this whole point was, why is the United States addicted to TikTok? Something was promoted somewhere, somehow. Mm-hmm. But who promoted it? Right, and that's where I'm going at, and you talk about education, right? Who invented our school system, or who's like the founding father of our school system, or even the American school system, is Rockefeller. Right. But if you look at Rockefeller, and I think we spoke about this on the first podcast, or us between us, but even Rockefeller said, I do not want thinkers, I want workers.
Right.
So just the fact that the foundation of the educational system or the school system is I want workers and not thinkers should tell you enough about how we are brought up and how the school system is failing us and how it is educating us to become workers and not thinkers. So I think all of that adds to, like you said, us thinking differently and then being outcast or this and that because we decided to not be within the mold.
So I guess I can end it. That was a good point you said, but you know what, like you probably think like me, like this is all done on purpose.
Yeah.
From a heads up, right? I think the difference is that there's a lot of things happening in this world, in this society. Logic pushes towards it being done on purpose.
Yes.
But too many people think that if you think they're doing this on purpose, you're a whack, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like, and then it makes me, the majority of my anxiety that I have these days, which is I've managed way better than before, is debating in my head if what I believe in is right, because it's like, I feel like this social media and all this fucking shit is making me question my gut feeling, my compass. Like sometimes you're like, dude, 5 years ago, that was the most logical thing you could have said. And now if you say that, people think you're crazy. And in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. Am I wrong or am I right? And that the battle of like, am I wrong or am I right? I believe that it's important to keep that battle within because I don't want to be married to any ideas that I have. I can have beliefs right now and have the perspective from those beliefs, but I'm not saying that you cannot convince me to change some of those beliefs if you bring me information or if I see how I can make it make sense.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not trying to be biased towards anything. But man, fighting that gut feeling, that logic inside my brain is so hard for me anyway. Like I don't know what it is, but it's the biggest battle that I've been battling lately. And it's like, because I'm trying my hardest to understand when people share something that I completely disagree with. Mm-hmm. And I go, you're so wrong. And then I fight the urge to think that, because I'm like, wait a minute, stop saying that because maybe he's right. Fuck. Maybe he's right. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Oh, fuck. Okay. And even if they're wrong, what does that change to your life? That's the battle in my head. Aren't you able to live when people, and then I go, I am if I believe in myself, and then then it's kind of like, but there's this fucking constant battle. And I think that battle is being amplified by social media. Mm-hmm. I don't have a doubt about that.
Oh, yeah,
I think that people right now so I see a lot of people on the team trying to disparage the other team because I guess sore losers. And again, I'm not saying they're right or they're wrong. I'm just saying, like, the energy spent in this thing, sometimes I just want to scream like, why are you doing this? Why are you sharing this thought of yours? That's completely unnecessary. You're only welcoming debate or like that is completely unnecessary. And I feel like a lot of people spend time in that mindset of being angry at someone else. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that, there's a video lately that you saw. I think it was that president that just passed away. Is it Jimmy Carter?
I have no idea.
I have no idea, right? So they sat Trump and Barack Obama right next to each other. Have you seen that video? So they sit next to each other and they talk, and Barack Obama, they laugh together, and everybody's like, fuck, like 2 weeks ago, Obama was telling how this guy is a fucking Nazi. He wasn't saying that, but he wasn't saying very nice things about this man. And now they're sitting next to each other and talking. And everybody was like, he was just being nice. That's what being, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
probably
yeah, I
what's
get
going
it.
on. They don't decide that they sit next to each other. They sit next to each other because of the order of the presidency that they were in. And I get that. But in my opinion, motherfucker, they're all on the same team now. They're all on the same team. Their whole goal is to create separation in society enough so that we don't become all on the same team. That's the only fucking goal. That's how I see it, right? Because they understand that if we as a society were all on the same page, they would have zero power. They would have to bend to us, which is what I believe government should be. It should be there when we need it. It shouldn't impose its will on its people by having all these different programs. Just be there if we need you. And I think they're all on the same team and they play their roles. Donald Trump plays his role. Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, they all play their role. And their whole goal is just keep the separation, more and more argument, more and more separation, because you don't want these motherfuckers on the same team, because if these motherfuckers get on the same team, we're all dead. That's as simple, as simplistic as I put it in my head.
Listen, man.
We might have to cut this part out if we want this shit to get shared.
Hey,
but I
was gonna say the same thing, man. We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful, man. But listen, I agree with you. And for those who don't know wrestling as much, I'm gonna use this wrestling term because I feel like it represents exactly what the world is. It's all a work.
It's all a work.
All right.
But if you say that, you're a crazy person.
So for those who don't know what work is in our world or in the wrestling world, it means that it's not like legit. It means that we know that we're working together. We know the outcome. It means that
there is a story ending, and we need to get to the end. So we work together to get to the end.
Right. So when we're saying that it's all a work, is exactly what that is. That it's all the same. Like it's all under the same roof. You know what? Kind of like. Because people will say that we're conspiracy theorists and whatnot, but let's take it down a notch. Grocery stores and supermarkets, they're owned by one person. There's one umbrella, Loblaws.
Right.
They might own Maxi, Super C, I don't know, IGA, and then you have Metro who owns Adonis, and I don't know what. So you might thinking you're buying that Maxi or Super C, but
it's all going in the same pocket.
It's all going into the same pocket. And this whole work thing is the same thing. You might think, like Democrat, Republican here in Canada, conservative, liberal, NPD, all that stuff.
They're just the Maxis and the Super Cs and the IGAs.
Yes, but at the end of the day,
there's a Loblaws on top here.
It's all a work. But like you said, we might have to be careful because we might get canceled 2025 for this.
The only person I'm worried about getting canceled, I'm worried about canceling me right now is you, and I know you're not going to cancel me, and I'm not going to cancel you. So I don't give a fuck who cancels us. They can go and cancel us. I think we live in a new world now that we're able to say whatever the fuck we want.
Oh, hell yeah.
But again, some don't believe that, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I still love you. I still love you out there if you don't believe in the same shit I do.
Yeah, and you know what? We gotta let go. Like you said, might not believe in what we said. We might be, called conspiracy theorists and all that stuff. But I think it's letting go. For me right now, the way I'm trying to view things is I start a conversation. Like I see as far as I can go.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I see the other person is not open to the conversation or even going further, I stop.
Right.
And if I see that you're just trying to go against me and you're like not in a way like, oh, you don't agree with me, but if I see that you're just not open to a conversation, because I don't mind if we don't agree. I have no problems, but I want to be respected in our disagreement, and I want us to be mature enough to have a conversation and communicate, because we can exchange about it and not be like and not agree on certain things.
Right, absolutely. I'm sure me and you don't agree on everything the same, though.
Of course.
Right?
But,
That,
it's letting
that
go.
doesn't mean we should stop communicating and trying to work out, like, and that we can't still be friends, right? That's another thing as well, is like,
Exactly.
just because I don't believe in certain things doesn't mean that I should not distrust you in everything you believe in. Because that's a thing I think that a lot of people are doing. They're like discounting a lot of people simply for one small aspect, because they think that small aspect determines who they are. And they have no idea why they believe. They're not even interested in understanding why they believe that. They just don't. No. You believe that you're a fucking racist. You're a homophobe. You're a transphobe. And then you go, am I? Like, you're using those words like they're fucking like weapon. You're weaponizing these words towards me, and then you're making me question if I'm right or wrong. I'm like, personally, I have no time for that. And I'm like you. I'm like, if I see that's where the direction of the conversation is going, I'm gonna be like, that's it. I'm gonna go silence, or I'm gonna say, I don't think me and you should be talking anymore.
And that's it.
Right? And look, at the end of the day, it's absolutely right. Let's end with this.
Yeah,
I heard something
man.
the other day, and this is exactly what it relates to your last point. We have to stop worrying about being right, and we have to start worrying about doing the right thing.
Ooh, preach. Ooh, yes.
People
yes.
want to be right instead of doing what's right. They're too worried about being right that they don't care about working together to get to the right conclusion. They just want to be right. And I know what it is, because everybody fights that urge. Everybody, there's an instinct especially in men. I don't know, I can't speak for women because I'm not one, but I know for me, maybe you can enlighten me on this. Like, I fight the urge to be right a lot. I hate not being right. Maybe it's how I was raised. Maybe it's not, I'll take it back. It's definitely not a gender thing, male or female. I think it's more of how the life I went through. But there's a big part of me that constantly fights being right. That was a fault of mine that I recognized a long time ago, and that I knew I have to wear that. That's a lot of the work I've done, is just being aware of where my faults lie. So when I get triggered, I'm able to stop them.
Yep.
That doesn't mean I don't feel them. For now, I'm still working on not feeling them. Yeah. And I realize that that's a fault in mine. And I've gotten better to go, I don't agree with that. That's fine. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be right in this conversation. It's okay if he thinks he's right. He might be. She might be, whatever. They might be. It's so complicated. Life is already so complicated to navigate, and I think social media and all this bullshit on how we consume it these days is just amplifies that difficulty. Yep. And I just don't think that our mammalian animal brains are wired for that shit.
Nope. And they will never be.
Right. Unless we evolve into another part of it that can adapt. And I think that's unfortunately where we're heading into, where we will evolve in being able to be at peace with each other, and also being so engaged in this technology.
In but then 100 years.
But then are we even humans anymore? If we don't have those, we talked about this, right? Those animal instincts that I think people are just trying to erase out of us.
Hey, we won't live to see that, right?
But I worry about my kids, you know?
Yep, I agree, man. I feel you, my brother.
That's why I'm trying to build these little fuckers, you know, hard and tough, you know? Brother, I love you so much, and I appreciate that we're able to have these discussions, even if it unravels in the goofiest of conversations.
Always a pleasure, man.
I don't think, like, I'll tell you after, so I'll hit the stop record button. Everybody that's still along with us on this journey, I appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed to SVGTV, do so, please. Yes, greatly appreciated. So. Savage Paulson on Instagram, and Mr. over here
Brother Tiger.
Bro the Tiger. Check him out. Check us out. Subscribe. I love you guys. Much love. Stay savage.
Peace.